Welcome back, guys and gals, to the channel. Yes, Barry Charles Footy Show is here, and today we have an absolute bamboozle of a video for you. We are going to dissect the 2023 fullbacks. Who was the best in 2023? Who I thought was the best. People are going to disagree and agree with all these selections out here, but I had to come up with a selection process, and we got a selection process right here, right now. We're going to rank the top 10 players in the comp in the fullback position on their performances in 2023. And yes, I'll give you one sneak. Kalen Ponga is on number 1 on my list. But yes, let's get to it. Unlucky to not make the list. Well, yeah, a bit of a... Is there really any unlucky players? To be honest, because the unlucky players, obviously injuries to Ryan Papenhuyzen and Tommy Turbo, but everyone else, really, there's not any unlucky stories in terms of the other ones that were playing this season. But my number 10 player is Clint Gutherson. He sneaks into the team at 10. But I tell you what, he reminds me probably of a Brett Hodgson sort of player. Might not have played that much New South Wales, but he is a very consistent fullback. Absolutely does everything right every single week. And again, you could add him to one of my other videos, most underrated players. But Clint Gutherson, to me, I rank him a number 10 for his season. He had another solid season, but I thought there was another 9 players better than him. And then number 9 player, and probably the shock of probably people saying, why is he even on the list? But I'll tell you what, he had a lot better season than what people were saying. Sebastian Kris, absolutely, for the Canberra Raiders. He had his best season, and he was turning into a Dylan Edwards type player, running over the 200 metres each week. James Tedesco. He had a big improved season, Sebastian Kris. Very, very underrated as well. Probably another one I left out of underrated players. He very, very good season from him. Now, number 8. Well, he probably could be a little bit higher. Maybe I'm a little bit biased here, but James Tedesco had probably a season to forget to start the season. But his last about 6 weeks of football was absolutely outstanding. To be honest, he didn't play super bad in New South Wales, but because he made a couple of big key errors when they were passing the ball, getting a bit too greedy and didn't score the try, defensive lapse when he slipped over, at big points in the game, probably put his overall season a bit out of cure because he wasn't really that bad. But because of that, because New South Wales didn't win, it's not the only reason. Nathan Cleary didn't deliver at that level as well. So a lot of things to go into James Tedesco, but he finished the season strong and still is a gun player. And still in the Australian team for now, but I can't see that lasting next season. Number 7, Scott Drinkwater. Had to overcome a little bit of early suspension, but he was very good after that, and he was one of the best all season for the Cowboys, and which was a bad season for the Cowboys. But Scott Drinkwater could put his head up high. Number 6, Mr. Consistent from the Warriors, Charles Nickel-Klokstad. Very, very good season. Absolutely turned around a poor season with the Raiders last season and really, really went to another level. And now is maybe pushing Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to centres for next season. And has knocked Joey Manu out of the fullback position for now, even though I'm not 100% sure that's going to continue. But yes, to me, yeah, absolutely a big improvement from Charles Nickel-Klokstad. Absolutely outstanding season he had for the Warriors this season. Number 5, wow. Yes, the Hammer. Wow, what a season the Hammer had. You could argue he could be a little bit higher on this list, but yeah, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow has had a great season, selected in Australia as well as Origin. He had a boomer of a series in Origin, getting their try, celebrations everywhere. The Hammer played absolutely, especially the start of the season was fantastic for the Dolphins. He was very good this season. He did fall away a little bit. He had a bit of injury issues at the end of the season, but it was still a great season for the Hammer at the Dolphins. Number 4, the new kid on the block, debut season, Jareem Bullock. Yes, absolutely. A dream season for him. Absolutely outstanding. Finally got his debut, and he took it with a grain of salt, and he could be this fullback for the next 20 years. Let's hope so, because most of the time we know what happens with the West Tigers. Get a gun player, we lose them to someone else. And that's my big concern for Jareen Buller. Will he last long term? Getting back to unlucky players not to be on the list, where you will say not unlucky, but Latrell Mitchell was not on my list. But his start of the season was very good, actually. It was very good. It was up there with the best, but just plateaued after that, obviously, injury. But, yeah, it's just, and then obviously didn't come back the greatest when they were expecting him to, but that's why he wasn't on my list. So he wasn't really unlucky, but his start of the season was actually pretty good, but it just plateaued. Back to number 3 on the list here. Well, some people say he should be number 1, and if you're going on consistency over the last 4 years overall, and especially for Penrith, number 3, Dylan Edwards. Absolutely Mr. Consistency all day long. Has surpassed James Tedesco in terms of what he brings to the football team. To me, should have been, well, out of the ones picked, should be fullback for Australia. But he's very much, to me, taken over James Tedesco's mould. So James Tedesco has done over a longer period of time. Dylan Edwards has to continue to do this. But he is on the trajectory to do it. And James Tedesco has been a very good player, but you wouldn't say an immortal. Although people would argue he's been a very good player, and probably short-term memory with myself, because James Tedesco was very much a superstar at the Tigers, but went to another level when he went to the Roosters, especially early on in his Roosters career. But Dylan Edwards, outstanding, been Mr. Consistent. Kai Churchill medal last year. He could have got it again this season, but obviously Nathan Cleary's performance at the end of the game was clearly going to win it, because otherwise it was Ezra Mams. So absolutely outstanding season for Dylan Edwards. Well, number 2, as I said, this man was not the number 1 at the start of the list, but Kalen Ponga. What a final last, whatever, half of the season it was. Absolutely fanatic. He pulling out of Origin was a big call, and it was a great call for him because he played absolutely outstanding. Whether he gets back in the team is question marks for Reece Walsh. Obviously, he's got some work to do, but I think Billy Slater loves Reece Walsh. There's going to be a bit of an issue where Kalen Ponga plays, unless he's going to come off the bench. I'm not sure what Billy's idea will be with that, but Kalen Ponga was absolutely outstanding. Put the Knights on the map, and was a great series all the way up to the Warriors game, but he was absolutely quiet in that game. Not sure what happened there. They just probably went too hard in the game before, too much emotion. They got up, but they went the greatest against the Raiders, and then will look flat against the Warriors. But he's Kalen Ponga, from the head knocks at the start of the season, talk about potential retirement and all that stuff, for him to turn it around as he did, and there's no way he'll be playing 5'8" again in his career. Kalen Ponga, outstanding, and well deserved to be one of the best this season. And number 1 on the list is clearly Reece Walsh. He was playing very good at the Warriors. He just took the same sort of thing to the Broncos and had a better attacking. If Sean Johnson was playing like he did this year with Reece Walsh last year, it would have been a different story for the Warriors, but he wasn't. But absolutely, Reece Walsh, outstanding. He's got work to do off the field. Don't get me wrong, and I have been saying it all the time. But it's only because I want this guy to improve. I want him to be the best player ever. He can potentially be that. And whether it's up to Nathan Cleary's standard, Nathan Cleary is an interesting example because he's consistent at the NRL level. He needs to do it at the other levels. But yeah, Nathan Cleary, very, very consistent in the NRL level. Reece Walsh is not playing with Nathan Cleary, but Aaron Reynolds is very close up. But yeah, that's probably the only question mark is about all these premierships and how do you rank players if they don't win these premierships. It's hard to really vote on all this stuff when you look at that. But Reece Walsh has potential to be the best fullback to ever play the game. It's up to him if he wants it and if he wants to change his behaviours. But overall, he was outstanding. He made, I think, the most errors of any player this season, but he got them to the grand final. He was outstanding. But unfortunately for all Broncos fans, he went missing in the grand final. He only popped up for about 10 minutes when the Ezra Mam show happened. But apart from that, he was very, very quiet. And I don't know what happened, but he doesn't want to be doing that all the time. And that's the difference between the good players and the great players. And if he doesn't learn that quick enough, his season's going to be a bit of a flash in the pan like Ben Barber. They're absolutely outstanding and then just disappear. So we don't want that from Reece Walsh. We want him to improve and do something great. But anyway, that is the fullbacks for 2023. That was how I ranked them. You can agree and disagree. You can talk about the other players that didn't make this list, and the Tyrell Sloans and the Jake Averillos. There's quite a few injuries. So Ruben Gary played fullback. Obviously, Tommy Turbo and Ryan Papenhausen were injured. But let me know in the comments what you think. And I will be back with another video shortly. Have an awesome day out there.